welcome back to the GSL. This is the Super Tournament. Why is it so super? Because we have taken 64 of the top StarCraft players in the world, and we have put them all together in one ginormous tournament with a huge prize pool. I am Moltrap, and with me is a new face here. We have alongside me today a new caster for the GSL, a friend of mine, someone who I've worked with, an experienced StarCraft 2 caster, Wolf. Say hi to the internet.
Hi internet, my name is Wolf and I'm really excited to cast a GSL. It's been a long time dream of mine to be here in Seoul, Korea, casting a GSL with someone as handsome and awesome as you, Moltrap. So I'm really excited to get into these games, actually. That's what I've been thinking about the last 30, 45 minutes. I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, man. I have been stoked about this tournament for a long time. We have some excellent matches today as well. We got a lot of, like, sleeper matches, I would say. Matches that, like, don't, like, have huge names, but I think are actually going to be really, really strong, really close matches.
Yeah, InCa and Ryung, I think, is one of those matches because we've got InCa, who's a player who knocked out Nada, playing against Ryung, who's definitely an up-and-coming player. So that's something I'm really excited. I'm really watching right now. So we'll see how that match turns out.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. Of course, we had some excellent games yesterday that we were not really expecting.
I didn't expect Creator and MVP to go into the third game and it'd be an awesome, epic third game.
That was totally awesome. So hopefully we're going to see some good stuff here today. I mean, Ryung and InCa, kind of a mirror situation. InCa, a finalist. Ryung, up-and-coming player, didn't quite do that well in Code A. You know, well, he did pretty well in Code A, but he didn't.
He did pretty well. You know, he made a name for himself, but he hasn't made it yet. But he did make somewhat of a name for himself.
Exactly. So this is kind of a proving ground for him today. And anyway, we are going to have a lot of good matches today. 4 matchups. We're going to have some ZVZ. We're going to have some PVZ. We're going to start off with some PVT. All different matchups today. No matter what matchup is your favorite, probably going to see some of it today in some fashion or other. And this is going to be totally sweet. And again, remember, giant 64-person tournament. You have to go up through 6 incredible rounds against the top players in the world in order to win the 100 million won prize for first place. It's going to be hardcore. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the match results from yesterday so we remember what happened there. MVP taken Creator Prime out barely.
And there was a crazy nuke finale with Creator stack knowledge units.
Watch those VODs. Slayer's Ganji taking out Butterfly Effect 2-0. Pretty short and sweet there. Supernova owning Check Prime despite a little cheesiness. And MMA and Lin actually very, very closely matched, but MMA a little bit better player, a little bit better multitasking. Came out on top of the end. And so that was yesterday's results. Now today, we're going to have 4 new matches. Of course, InCa versus Ryung is going to be very, very sweet. And there's our ZVZ. Violet versus the Wind. Rain, a long-time GSL name, is going to be facing another up-and-comer in Keen. That is actually going to be a very good Terran versus Terran. And Juke2, kind of an old name, facing any pro, more newer name, seeing if he can kind of come back and prove himself once again. So we have some good stuff for you guys today. It's going to be awesome. I'm very, very much looking forward to, especially the first match, which is coming up in mere moments.
It's coming up in just a minute.
Moments away from
InCa
versus Ryung.
Right on our screen.
And it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, who do you think is going to take it? Who do you think is going to come out on top? I mean, both players have some really good results recently, but, you know, I think the fact of the matter is Ryung lost to Hongin. He lost to Genius, and those two players aren't the best Protoss. They're good Protosses, but they're not the best Protosses out there right now.
That's the thing about today's matches is just the way that the seeds are set up, there's definitely a clear favorite for every match. There's a favorite for every match, I would say, but I think a couple of these games are going to be pretty close. This is the one. I think InCa is still the favorite. I mean, he took out Nada.
Yeah, he took out Nada. He's a finalist.
He took out Marine King Prime last season as part of his... was that in the up and... Wait, what am I trying to think? in the round of 32, I think. Anyway, he beat Marine King Prime.
Yeah, he beat Marine King.
He beat Virus as well last season. So he's got strong Protoss versus Terran. He's got some strong Protoss versus Terran that his statistics don't really indicate because he got a lot of early losses to Terran early on in his career.
Yeah.
So definitely InCa's the favorite. Ryung, his statistics are also not that good, but those also kind of belie his capability, I think.
I mean, he did take a game off of Genius and off of Hongin. I believe both those were 2-1 victories, if I remember correctly. And, you know, those Protoss players aren't that great. Well, here comes our player. Take a look at OGS InCa. GSL ranking, he's 9th. He's able to get to the Code S round of 32 in January. In March, he made it to the same round of 32. And then May, he was, of course, our finalist. And he's in Code S for July.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how he didn't really do much, and then all of a sudden, boom! Second place.
Yeah,
Just out
exactly.
of nowhere.
That's the story about InCa. So he's really scary right now. And there's a shot of him.
There he is, warping up his booth. He is, what is he doing? Scratching the table?
Scratching the table a little bit. Just getting his APM fingers ready. Doesn't want to touch that keyboard just yet.
His star sense is so sharp. He has to dull it down a little bit on the table first, just so he doesn't break.
He doesn't want to break the keyboard. He doesn't want to get a bunch of nerd sweat on there.
Exactly.
His key's too slippery. He's moving his fingers too fast.
You do not want that to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, they're doing a little chatting in the screen. That's why they're talking to each other. That is one of the cool things about being down here at the studio at the GSL is the players, even if they're playing against each other, are always kind of talking back and forth, discussing things beforehand. Now here is a little shot of Ryung. Look at that. Versus Protoss, 2 wins, 4 losses. Like I said, doesn't look good, but I think he's capable of a lot more. Got a little bit unlucky, got caught off guard by some Void Rays by Genius in the Team League. But he did get to the Code A semifinals last season, so very strong player, able to get that far despite not doing well in the up and down matches. And yeah, like I said, his stats just look pretty bad, but I think he's still going to give us some good
He's got
games.
a lot of potential. He's on Slayers, and that's the team of potential, I feel like, right now. And he's a really young guy, so see how he goes in this series. I think he's got a shot at it for sure.
Yeah.
Don't count him out yet.
Yeah, he's a cool guy too, by the way. Have you been able
I
to
actually
talk
haven't
to him
yet.
Yeah, he is always he's like one of the more laid back pro gamers. Like he's always smiling and like saying hi and stuff like that. I saw him in the makeup room earlier. He waved at me. Anyway, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be good stuff.
It's gonna be good stuff.
You have not lived yet though until MVP comes up to you and says hi. That was like highlight.
I know. I saw him yesterday.
Highlight
I
of
was
my
scared
year
of him.
when he did that.
All right.
Anyway, yes. So if you are in Seoul, by the way, definitely come down, check out some matches here today. We have a lot of foreign fans in the audience today. Have come on down to cheer people on. There's some. Well, we'll get a shot of them later, probably in the audience, but talk about that later. Anyway, there we go. Slayers Ryung versus OGS InCa. The map is going to be Crevasse. For the first map, it's going to be a large macro map. Now keep in mind. Anyway, let's see what happens in the first game.
OGS InCa versus Slayers Ryung.
All right, here we go. Up in the top right of Crevasse, we have the second place medalist from the previous season of GSL. He is going to be playing as the red. He is.
OGS InCa.
It's my first intro. So I used to do that. Anyway, and here we have at the upper left-hand corner of the map an up-and-coming player from Slayers.
Slayers Ryung.
Slayers Ryung. And this is Crevasse, and is that a... Okay, never mind. Early probe, but it's an early probe scout. I was going to say, even though this is a sort of a macro-oriented map, we did have InCa do kind of an all-in on this map, if I recall, against Nada, so it's not necessarily going to be a macro game.
A lot of the times players on this map do like to do all-ins because it's not unusual to see a Nexus first or Command Center first, or just really, really risky expansion builds because you do have that backdoor expansion area, and for that reason, people like to be a little bit risky, so all-ins can be quite good.
Yeah, it's the whole metagame thing where if they're not expecting an all-in because it's better not to, sometimes it's better to do the all-in, etc. Ryung opting not to make a wall here. He's keeping his barracks back, and InCa, did he even make a gateway yet?
Nope. Nexus first, just like I said.
Nexus first for InCa. And Ryung, I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to take advantage of this. He's only got the one barracks, and he hasn't scouted InCa yet.
Exactly. So he is going to... I think he's just got a standard opening planned. It's looking like he is going to want to either get a tech lab or start taking up the factory tech here relatively soon. And so far, I think with this type of Nexus first build on this map, especially when he's kind of lucked out in the scouting, he should be able to hold anything that Ryung wants to throw at him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit late for Ryung to really put much pressure on with this. He is getting a tech lab out, maybe planning to Maybe get out a Reaper, see what's going on, something like that, and expand off of it. Although he's not really saving up money just yet for that.
There's a Reaper is coming out to scout. It's always a good choice on this map. Because if your opponent gets that quick Stalker out, then he's always going to be able to keep your SCV out. You always want to get that Reaper in, check for that Nexus.
Now here's the thing though, he's just getting his core up, so he is, if he goes the right direction, which I think he has scouted InCa now, yes, he probably should be able to get that Reaper in his base about the same time that the Stalker comes out at the very least, if not earlier. So he might even be able to get a couple probe kills out of this, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Because without that Stalker, the Reaper can kite everything that InCa can chase it with.
Maybe he'll sacrifice, is he making a, yeah, he's got a Zealot, so maybe he'll sacrifice that to soak up some hits, save his probes. Yep. Zealot taking one for the team. We'll find out though. Reaper is running across the map right now, and InCa is fine. Well, let's see. Probe is not going to spot it at the front there. He's going to scope things out, check for it. Here comes that Reaper. It's going to do a little double jump up into the expansion of InCa, and there's nothing there. He runs the probe pretty quickly. Might lose one. Nope. Zealot's going to come in there, but that Reaper says, haha, I've got rocket packs, and you don't.
The two Stalkers are on the way. They're both being chrono boosted out of those gateways, and so the Reaper is going to have to run away. Can't really do much else at this point. Stim is being started. It's a pretty quick stim, but it's always a safe follower up to what Ryung is doing here. He's going to go ahead and get his gases. Only has that one gas, so he can only go up to 3 gases on 2 bases, so that does somewhat limit his tech.
Yeah, the expansion in the back, for those of you who don't know, it is in the back, so it's protected, but it has a little bit less resources available, so it's not as good. And that Reaper is still scouting around. There was a word I was thinking of.
It's not as good.
I couldn't think. Lucrative. That's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's not as good for the long term, and you can't get, you won't be able to have 4 gas, so it's not quite as good as 4. Here comes the Reaper in here again.
It's just so easy to take. It's hard to pass up, and he's going to get a probe kill. Might get a second one. There are Stalkers on the map. They're having to run back because they were out putting pressure on, and actually they're not running back. They are just hitting the front. He's going to wait for his reinforcement Stalkers to deal with that Reaper. And that Reaper continuing to get kills. It's up to, I can't really see how many kills. It looks like 3 or 4 kills now. But the Stalkers chase it down. And he explodes.
Does explode. Very sad death now.
I hate exploding, man.
I hate it too. If you ever get blown up, you won't tell anyone about it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, now looks like we're going to have a little bit of pressure here at the front by InCa. Now, Marines, of course, cannot deal with Stalkers and Micro correctly, but there's so many Marines that he's just overwhelming those Stalkers, forcing InCa back.
Yeah. He kind of just wanted to make sure he stepped back a little bit, make sure he knew he was there. Now, Stim is moments from completing, and once that does complete, those Marines will be able to own those Stalkers pretty badly if they stick around.
Yeah, exactly. Once you got Stim out, double Stargate.
Whoa! Double Stargate. Now these Marines coming out. Stim is not completed yet, but there's only those 2 Stalkers. I'm curious to see if he's going to actually Stim to take care of those Stalkers or just keep his health for another day. It looks like he is going to go ahead and fall back. Actually sending the uninjured Marines in to do some more battle. I like that.
Now, the 2 starports and Stargates are really interesting because basically there are 2 units that you make out of Stargates, and those are Phoenixes and Void Rays, and he knows his opponent has a pretty high Marine count, so it's a very unusual choice to go for those.
Could be carriers. You can make carriers out of Stargates
he's hitting them. It's almost like a StarCraft 1 type thing where you hide your Stargates, make a fleet beacon, and start making carriers, and your opponent just doesn't know about it. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. It's going to be Void Rays.
Void Rays. Good call. Yeah, no, I mean, he probably would have... Carriers would be definitely pretty crazy. InCa has done some interesting builds, but he's not really that kind of a player in general. And he's going to put down some more gateways as well to follow that up. So, I mean, Void Rays, there's a lot of Marines on the map. So he could easily lose those Void Rays and lose a lot of money very quickly. But if he's got maybe some good force fields down to protect the Void Rays, they can also be very, very, very damaging.
Yeah, I think he's committing to them. He's made 2. He's going to make 2 more. He's going to just continue to hide this tech.
Wow.
And that's going to be really scary. That's the scary part about Void Rays.
I wonder if he's planning on, like, when Ryung attacks, countering with, like, 6 Void Rays to his main or something like that, and just force field his ramp because he won't have as many units, but just kill his base in the meantime.
Yeah, you can kill structures so quickly with those Void Rays. It looks like Ryung is looking to move out here a little bit. Does have some medevacs.
Pretty good timing. He just finished +1 weapons and combat shields, so his brains are now fully equipped, especially with the medevacs alongside to heal him up when they do their stim. And Slayer's Ryung is a Slayer's Terran. He is going for a drop, of course, heading across the top of the map. I believe. Yes.
It is.
my min-map's a little bit cut off on the other screen. Anyway, he's dropped in a place where InCa does not have vision. His forces are nearby, though, so this might not do too much damage. Is he going to get any probes? In the meantime, InCa moves out at the wrong moment, and some probes are going to go down, but a nice probe run for InCa is going to save most of his economy there, unless he sends it back into the line of fire.
He's going to send them right back over there, but it looks like the Stalkers and Zealots are going to clean up. Dropship should escape.
Yeah, I'm surprised. A little surprised he didn't fight that.
Meanwhile, we're up to...
Oh, there we go. Another drop. Sorry to cut you off, but he's dropping in 2 places at once. This guy is on Slayers, but as you're going to say, 6 Void Rays out, about to be 8.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
That Void Ray count is so scary, and I really like this choice because once that Void Ray count gets huge, like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Even if you have a lot of Marines, if there's Stalker support and Guardian shields, those Void Rays are just going to kill everything. I've never seen a build like this before executed in such a way. Actually, InCa did a build like this once. By the way, we have some drops, killing some probes. But InCa did a build like this once against Rain. I know a Protoss, maybe it wasn't InCa, but some Protoss did a build like this against Rain. It completely failed.
Wow, these drops are actually doing so much damage. He's actually having... He may just sack his... InCa might just go for a counter all-in right now because those drops have stopped his mining almost altogether. And here he goes in with tons of Void Rays. Marauders not able to do anything about it, but there's a lot of Marines there. They have to worry about the Zealots first. The force field stopping the Marines from running away from the Zealots. Void Rays doing so much damage, and it looks like the Void Rays is going to lose 1 or 2, but he may not have the Marines to hold this off. After it all, the bunkers are filled. Are they going to hold up? All the ground units die, and the Marauders stand helplessly underneath, but the Marines able to polish it off. GG coming from InCa. Ryung taking game 1 with some nice drops and holding off those Void Rays.
Yeah,
really,
the Void
really
Ray
well.
strategy was really interesting. I liked it, but he went all in basically at the wrong moment. It was not the time to go for it, and you can tell InCa a little bit disappointed with how that game went. See him just kind of looking at his hand, thinking about how that game played out for him. I think he wasn't really prepared for the drops. And after his economy was dead, he had one choice but to attack.
I'm really kind of confused a little bit almost because he knew that medevac was sitting there. It had dropped and picked up and run back in the corner again, but he didn't leave any defenses for it. Yeah. He just said, you know what? I'm just going to move out anyways, and if he drops again, which he very likely will, I'll just lose all my probes, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, it's really strange. He also should have known that since the harassment was going on, Ryung was going to expect a counterattack. So he probably should have tried to pull back and save his economy a little bit better. Going for the all-in attack might have worked, but it wasn't a very smart option. It wasn't very safe.
And he did expect it. You could tell because he put up multiple bunkers. He had that turret at the front. He had everything in like a nice little concaved line around his ramp.
Couldn't have been more prepared, really.
Exactly. He was really, really prepared, and he had a ton of Marines there as well. Really lucky he didn't go a little bit too heavy on the Marauders, because there was a point where he had like 4 Marines, and he was waiting for reinforcements.
Yeah.
And if he'd had like a few more Marauders instead, that almost punched through. And if he punched through with like even 3 Void Rays alive, that would have been game for Ryung.
Exactly, because the Void Rays just do so much damage.
A little bit closer than that looked, definitely, of a game. But Ryung taking game 1 off of the silver medalist. We might see a little bit of an upset here.
Yeah, it could be somewhat of an upset. You know, that strategy by InCa, I liked it, but it didn't work out as he planned. And I think that was a very map-specific strategy because like I was mentioning earlier, during all the drops and the chaos, I've seen a strategy like that before on Crevasse in the GSL, and I can't remember the exact game, but I know someone did a similar strategy, got a bunch of Void Rays, went for an all-in, mostly with Charged Zealots. I don't know if you're familiar with the game I'm talking about, but it didn't work. It worked very similarly. The attack happened. It
specifically
completely failed, and the game ended. So,
well, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit happy about this situation. I was rooting for Nada, and I was a little bit disappointed that InCa all into him out of the semifinals. But this is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Ryung has not achieved the sort of pseudo-revenge that I want him to on InCa just yet, because InCa, look at that, now he doled his nails on the table, and now he's picking the dirt out of him, making sure... I don't know what he's doing right now, to be honest with you. But InCa does not look particularly phased, is my point here.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's like, all right, whatever. I'll just do my next all-in, and that'll work instead on Tal'Darim. which is going to be the next map. Another very large macro-oriented map. We're going to get underway pretty soon. InCa not looking phased, but Ryung maybe taking some confidence into the next game.
He looks super serious.
We're going to find out in game 2.